Welcome back, fellow gamers. BattleFox here to continue our Let's Play series of Avorion. Last time we ventured out into the galaxy, we were in search for trinium and also wanted to test the battle effectiveness of the Firebird. I would say it was pretty effective, but why stop there? Today I want to expand our fleet by adding a carrier into the mix. Between episodes, I mined a good amount of resources, neonite and trinium. It took a fair while, but I think this will be a good foundation, and we can always mine more if necessary. While I was mining, I finally came across a research station. Yes! I've been wanting to find one of these so bad for like 3 episodes now. Now, as you can see from the map here, this is where we started, and we had to travel all throughout here and get here in order to find one. But now we actually have. And there it is, the research station. Now, the special thing about the research station is you can take your found items that you loot off of enemies and combine them together to make better materials. Now, as you can see from my inventory here, we have a ton of upgrade modules and guns. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take these and condense them all down into better ones, and then we'll start the construction on our brand new carrier. So I will be right back. And now that I have condensed all of these materials, this is what I have left with from what we started, that huge wall of guns and module upgrades and things like that. So you can actually put a minimum of 3, but a total of 5 in order to upgrade. Now, if you put 3 in, you have a 60% chance for it to upgrade to the next rarity if you put all of the same. If you put 4, then it's 80, and if you put 5, it's 100% chance. So you might as well just save up all of your modules and guns and then combine them together, so that way you're always getting upgrades. Because 80% chance, sometimes you'll just end up throwing away 40 or 4 guns and still get the same rarity when it comes out. So always do 5, so that way you're not wasting any. Alrighty, so now that we have condensed all of those, let's go ahead and start our build. Now, my plan for today was to go ahead and make the mothership from Homeworld, the Homeworld game series. If you've ever played those, the ship that's traveling towards Hagara, that was one of my favorite games back in the day, and so I wanted to make that mothership. Now, here is a picture of kind of what I came up with after I spent a couple hours building it, and I wasn't really happy with the way that it turned out. So I went ahead and started a new build. Still the same idea of doing a carrier, but more free-flowing in build as I go, because I tend to like those types of builds better than when I'm just looking at something and trying to recreate that. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the time lapse of my current build, and and I hope you enjoy that, and we'll be right back after it's finished.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. Of things we know. Spirit of things, we lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. Of things we know.
there you have it. Here is our mothership. This thing is gigantic. We have named it, originally I named it the Hagara because I was going to do a Homeworld 2 type of build, but I wasn't really happy with that after it came out, so I went back to the drawing board and decided to make something fresh. So this thing is, it's not very fast, and I had to collect way more materials than I thought I would. If you see my numbers go up and down, it's because I had to take a stop and go out and mine some more. I didn't spawn in any materials or anything like that, and that's why this video came out a couple days after, because I was pretty much just mining all those days just to get this big build finished. I think next time I'm going to go ahead and build stuff in creative, so that way I know exactly how much I have to mine instead of, you know, go out and farm, you know, this much, come back, build a quarter of the ship, and then realize I need a lot more, go out and mine again, and that process was real tedious. I'd rather just collect it all and then spawn it in after I've built it. So this is probably the largest ship that I'm going to make, maybe something larger when we get into endgame, but this thing took forever to build, and it took a crazy amount of resources, but I did learn a lot about you know, specific shapes and things like that. I really enjoyed the back end here and then this front scoop, so I might try to adapt that into some future builds and go from there. So one thing I wanted to show you guys was how much health and how much shields this thing has currently right now, and then how many system slots that this baby has. To unlock another slot, we'd need 0.15 billion mass cubed. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not gonna. This thing took forever to build, and it was fun, and I liked it. But you know, maybe if I could buy the resources up quickly, then maybe I might do another thing quite this large, and we'll see. So I still need to grab crew for this thing. It does take a whopping like 1,600 crew right now, and that's before I've even added any guns or any fighters. Now it can hold a total of 565 one-size fighters, so this thing is going to be a beast as far as how many that it can hold, but we're going to need a lot of money to keep it sustained with a crew that size compared to what we're paying for the Firebird. So I think next episode we're going to go ahead and go into the trade routes and really look at how we can make some fast, easy money with that, especially with you know, ships that have large jump range and a large cargo hold. So we might build, you know, just a cargo ship and go forward from there. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Please don't forget to subscribe and favorite the video, and then always feel free to leave comments about you know, things you liked, things that you didn't, what you'd like to see next, if there's something specific, or if there's something totally wrong that I did and you need to point it out. I'm all for it, please. So again, thank you, and you have a wonderful day.